Hey everybody, you're watching A Physio Named Jonah. That's this guy. Where today we're taking a flashback to the days before I was a physio named Jonah. Back before I was a physio student named Jonah, when I was just a human named Jonah. That's just Jonah for short, and only Jonah when I was lonely. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down 6 things that I wish I had known back before I started my physiotherapy program. If you're a future physiotherapy student coming up this fall, if you're thinking about applying to physiotherapy school, or if you're just interested in learning more about physio in general, this video is for you, so stick around. A quick background on my schooling experience. I went to the University of Toronto, that's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I have all of the clothing to prove it, and I graduated in 2019. So hopefully this is all pretty fresh in my mind. Let's get started with the list. Number 1, there's more than just one field of physiotherapy. Yes, if you're a good physio student applicant, you probably already know this, but we're talking about me, not you. Back when I was applying to physiotherapy school, I had only been exposed to physiotherapy in an outpatient MSK private practice clinic, which is basically those clinics on the side of the road that come up in conversation when physio gets brought up. While I was vaguely aware that physiotherapists could work in hospitals, people could specialize into different areas, I did not really know what those different areas were, and I definitely was not ready to learn about them. So it was a pretty rude awakening for me when I started at U of T, and the very first unit was in cardiorespiratory physiotherapy, or helping people with lung and heart conditions. What? There are 3 main pillars of the physiotherapy program: musculoskeletal, neurological, and cardiorespiratory physiotherapy practice. Each of these involves unique treatment as well as assessment styles and different kind of reasoning as a whole. If you want to make your head spin just that little bit more, each one of them can work in outpatient settings, in inpatient settings within a hospital, rehab settings within a hospital. There are many ways that each of these pillars are applied within the physiotherapy world. Basically, the point here is that the practice of physiotherapy spans multiple different areas within the healthcare field, and you better get ready to learn about all of them because you're going to have placements in every single one. Number 2, physiotherapists get paid in very different ways. Now, you could argue that you don't need to know about the pay structure before you go into physiotherapy school, but I still wish that I had known how I was going to get paid afterwards and help that frame my schooling. Without getting too in-depth, let's just break it down into 2 kind of main categories. There's one side where you can get paid on a salary model. This is usually as an hourly wage, where you get paid a set amount at the end of the pay period based on how many hours you worked. The other option is a fee-for-service model, which basically you get paid based on how many patients you treated within that predetermined pay period. Put very generally, you can usually make more money, potentially, on a fee-for-service model if you're quite busy. However, there are a lot of things that you can't control about how many patients you're seeing within a certain time period. From what I've seen in Toronto where I work, more outpatient clinics tend to operate on this basic fee-for-service model where you get paid per patient, while more hospitals operate on a salary model. I don't think there's any hospitals out there that do the fee-for-service as far as physiotherapy goes. On top of this, hospital-paid physiotherapists usually have access to health and additional benefits where outpatient clinics don't, and also vacation pay is usually not on the table in the outpatient clinic world. And the waters get muddied even further when you start to take into account, am I an employee or an independent contractor? So if this is something you'd like to see more of, let me know in the comments section. I can break it down more in a future video. Number 3, while not impossible to maintain a job during physiotherapy school, it is a massive challenge. When I was getting ready to start my physiotherapy program at U of T, I was really intimidated about the thought of keeping a part-time job at the same time as doing the master's program, mostly because all the students that I met said I shouldn't do it. Yes, the workload is heavier, yes, there's an awesome social scene, yes, there's more to do in the physiotherapy program, but that's not what makes it a major challenge to maintain a job as well as do physiotherapy school. Throughout the 2 years that I was at U of T, I maintained a part-time job at a boutique fitness studio called Greco. Now, I was one of maybe 10 out of the 100 students in my class who maintained their job throughout those 2 years, and this came down to one big thing: flexibility. Within the schedule at U of T, there were different hours to every unit, which meant there were different hours to work around. Add on to this months at a time where you're on placement working as a full-time physiotherapist, and it's really challenging to schedule around. The only reason I was able to keep my job instructing classes at Greco was because there were classes available to teach in the morning, before school sometimes, after school in the evenings, and on the weekends. even within that, because of different things around placement or exams, there were months sometimes where I was able to only work a very small handful of hours. If it was not for the incredibly flexible and very supportive and just wonderful directors of that Greco boutique, there's no way I would have been able to keep my job there. Positions with that level of flexibility and opportunity to work around schedules that are always changing are really hard to find, so it's not that surprising that more physiotherapy students don't work. Number 4, it depends, also known as prepare yourself for uncertainty. I'm sure there are a lot of recent physio grads nodding their head yes at that statement, so if you're not in the loop, let me tell you why. In my undergraduate program, I took human kinetics at the University of Ottawa. Like most undergraduate programs, questions had specific answers. The material that you learned in lecture was tested in a take in and regurgitate sort of format. I say again, questions had specific answers. What's very different about physiotherapy school compared to this is that oftentimes questions about patterns, presentations, and different patient situations can have the same answer. It depends. My goodness, this can be frustrating as a student, especially when you're used to the learn and regurgitate sort of format. It can make it really difficult and frustrating to work with the material. Probably because it depends won't cut it as an answer on the test. However, I can now say that as a practitioner, having practiced for a little bit, it sure does. Quite often, patterns and presentations that you learned about in school, the tests you learned how to do, they don't give you black and white answers. People don't fit into these perfect boxes. So it really does depend based on the individual in front of you. That's what makes the job really fun and challenging, is trying to figure out what those it depends pieces are for the patient in front of you and figure out how to treat them. Number 5, you are not going to love every part of every unit, and that's okay. During my undergraduate years, I was working so hard to get into physiotherapy school, and I remember having this thought that if I made it into physio school, my life would be complete. I would be completely happy forever, and I would love everything about physiotherapy school. Going into the program with insanely high expectations really set me up for failure, and it was only November of my first year when I was already starting to face questions about, is this right for me? Because I wasn't loving every single part of everything the way I thought I was going to. But realistically, number 1, when you're learning about a vast and diverse profession, it's unrealistic to think that you're going to love every single thing equally. And number 2, physiotherapy school is still school, and I don't love school. To be very honest with you, I don't know a single person in physiotherapy school who loved every single one of their placements. There's always at least one that's too far, too slow, too stressful, too inconvenient. Maybe you have to bike behind a garbage truck the whole way to get to the hospital you're at a placement at. That said, every placement and experience is a learning opportunity. So sometimes the things that don't go well play a really important role in guiding people towards what they want to do. Number 6, welcome to the community. Let's end this list on a high note after that little bit of a downer for the last section. When you graduate and begin working as a physiotherapist, you are now part of something bigger than yourself, a community and group of therapists and healthcare practitioners all working together to make their patients better. On top of that really powerful fact and bigger community that you're now a part of, in the short term, being a part of a class of very like-minded individuals, your fellow physiotherapy students, can lead to some pretty amazing friendships. I was lucky enough to meet 3 of my best friends in the whole world during the physiotherapy program, and we formed a completely inseparable group during the program, went on a trip afterwards together, and even had a nickname for ourselves that people in the program would call us. Take that, anyone who ever said I was lame. What I'm trying to say is that being a part of the physiotherapy class is something really special and really powerful. Looking back as a graduate, I can honestly say that I miss it a lot. Do I miss being in lectures from 9 to 5 and not getting to treat patients? Hell no. But do I miss doing those things with my best friends and future colleagues? Yeah, I do. That will do it for today's list. Thank you everyone for checking out the video. If you're a physiotherapy student prepping for the fall, good luck guys, I hope you have an awesome time. If you're thinking about applying to physio school in the future, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you're just watching this because you're one of my close friends, family, or a loyal few subscribers, thank you so much. Hope you have a banging day, guys. Drop any questions in the comments section below if this sparked anything for you. Hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming content. But really guys, move your body, have a laugh today, and I will see you at the next video. 19, so all this whole school thing is still relatively fresh-ish in my mind. I don't have my microphone on.